Good morning, everyone. And I want to share with you some of my favorite things to talk about. And that's just the amazing power of influence. And I've actually prepared some PowerPoints. And so let me see, how do I share my screen? Push the button here. Oops. Oh, I think boy, it's the hair trigger pad here. Okay, there we go. Wow, influencer, the power to change everything. And it's kind of a fun thought right there. Hello, my name is Influencer, because we all are all one of those. And this is one of my favorite thoughts. It comes from an essay, The Majesty of Calmness. But listen to this here. Responsibility we cannot evade in life is the power of personal influence, the silent, subtle radiation of your personality, the effect of even little words and acts, the trifles that we are often never considered. It's tremendous. Every moment of life, we are changing to a degree the life of the whole world. Isn't that something? Wow. Into the hands of every individual is given this marvelous power for good or for evil. The silent, often unconscious, sometimes unseen, just the influence of her life, the constant radiation of what a person really is. Wow, wow, we're having an effect on other people, and other people are having an effect on us. Such a fascinating thing. Now, I was looking just at some photos from a movie that is just such a profound idea. So often movies reflect what real life can be. And this is the wonderful movie, It's a Wonderful Life. And there's a period where Harry comes home as a war hero because he was able to shoot down a kamikaze plane and saved thousands of lives on this transport ship. Just wonderful. Wow, being able to have an effect on thousands of lives. But near the end of the movie, there's things just go wrong. And so George Bailey, his brother, actually hits a point in his life where he actually thinks it'd be better if I'd never been born. And so this angel Clarence gives him the opportunity to see what would happen. Well, if you remember at the very beginning of the movie, they're out playing, and Harry, this war hero, when he was just a little boy, falls through the ice and would have drowned except for George saving him. And then all of a sudden the movie changes because he was never born. And these are such powerful thoughts here. It's so strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many other lives. When he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he? Wow. And he mentions because he drowned, he wasn't there. So every man on that transport died. Harry wasn't there to save them because you weren't there to save Harry. Isn't that a neat thought? But he was there, and it did happen. And so it is a wonderful life. It's so much of what we make of it. But I think about this idea, and we've heard this before. It just makes you really reflect on this, that even we can't help ourselves. We have influence. And sociologists tell us that even the most introverted individual will have some effect on over 10,000 other people during their lifetime. Isn't that something? We all have influence on someone else. And, I think about just that idea of influence. And I think about that movie, It's a Wonderful Life, where the point came where he was getting ready to jump off a bridge and just thinking he wasn't worth anything. He had a life insurance policy, and he felt that he was worth maybe more to his family dead than alive. And I remember many years ago, whenever I'd go to a big event with a company I was with, that someone would come up when they would see me. We'd be out in between events and stuff like that. And invariably he'd come up and say, "Hey, thanks for saving my life." And I would smile and say, "Oh, you're welcome. I figured, we got these neat products and wonderful things happen." Well, that went on actually for several years. And one day he came up to me and he said, "I bet you wonder why I say that." And I said, "Well, yeah, tell me the story." Well, he talked about it was a very similar circumstance. He was in just a state of depression. Things were going rough financially, and he found himself up in the bedroom with a 9mm in his mouth, and he felt that he would be worth more to his family. And then he actually heard a voice, wound up on his knees. A couple of weeks later, he was introduced to our company, and everything changed. And because I shared it with somebody who shared it with somebody who shared it with someone else, this chain that I got to be a part of, he felt that I had saved his life, and all of those other people in that chain of events that brought an opportunity to him that changed his life. And I've always reflected on that, how things can really, really be absolutely amazing. And so here we are, influencing other people. Now, one of the things I think is really fascinating is this idea right here. When someone does something, there is a ripple effect. That's amazing. Now, here's a thought here. The thing about perspective changing events is that they usually don't announce themselves as such. When I read that, I think back on, let's see, it was about 1978. I was just getting out of the Navy, and I interviewed with Steve Tomacelli for a sales position, and he sent me to Tri-Cities. And I'd never been there before. We moved there, and I thought it was just going to be a temporary. I wound up working and living there for 23 years. Most of my kids were born and raised in Tri-Cities. I think back on, what if he would have sent me somewhere else? Well, there would a whole parallel universe as far as my own life was concerned, who my kids met and married. Perhaps even the idea that we're even having this discussion right now indirectly was because of Steve Tomacelli. I just think about all of the things that changed, the opportunities, everything that came my way because I was in that particular city and lived there for 23 years of my life because Steve Tomacelli sent me there. Just think that is so amazing. And it fits into that next paragraph. One of the scariest things in the world is that other people can make life-changing decisions for you. Wow. And then the idea that we all have influence, hopefully, mostly it's good, but think about this beautiful thought right here. You never know when a moment and a few sincere words can have an impact on a life. Well, that's what we should really be anxiously trying to do, not just accidentally bumping into other people along the way, but what if that was purposefully our prime directive, that we wanted to have as much influence as possible on another person, that we actually tried to make a positive difference in the life of someone else. Isn't that a wonderful thought? That's why I'm so excited about Avini Health and companies that I've had the privilege of being with before, is that thought that I considered many years ago was, what would be the greatest thing I could do with my life? Well, certainly part of the reality of work. If you just kind of think of a job, we all got to have one. That's the reality. We need one. If you consider that some jobs are just better than others, they're not all created equal, and some are more fun. Some pay more, but I think one of the most wonderful things to consider is what work allows me to have the greatest difference among the largest number of people. And when you think of these products, I just think, wow, this is something that changed my whole life. I'll always be using this. It got rid of something I don't want, and I don't want it coming back. I just think, wow, everybody needs this stuff. And then we've got products that can transform somebody's life. And then by building teams, you can multiply that effect by creating a team of thousands of people, thousands of customers, and affect the lives of thousands of lives over the course of just a few years of being involved in this. So every morning we wake up with this prime directive of doing the most good for the most people. Isn't that fun to think about? It's just such an amazing power to do this. And so here we are. It's scary, but let's actually take that responsibility and do a ripple effect and touch as many lives as we can. The first time I came across this scripture, you probably have seen it too, and I just thought, that's not fair. I just can't stand it. We're visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children and the children's children, the third and fourth generation. So you do something bad, it goes off. And then I thought, well, yeah, it's not fair, but it's just stating the truth. It's the reality. We see it. But the thing that I've thought about is, why not reflect that into a positive? Visiting the virtue, visiting the goodness of the fathers on the children. Don't you think that happens as well too? What kind of legacy can you give your kids? You're going to give them one. Wow. Don't be iniquitous. be good. I love Mr. Rogers. He has so many wonderful things to say, but think about this. If you could only sense how important you are to the lives of those you meet, how important you can be to people you may never even dream of. And listen to this thought here. There is something of yourself that you leave at every meeting with another person. Wow, we leave a piece of ourselves. I often think, we become what we think about. We become who we associate with. And someone said this, and I'm going to steal it. Some of my best thinking was done by someone else. So someone else's thought. And I just love this one right here. Each friend represents a world in us, a world not born until they arrive. And it is only by this meeting that a new world is born. And I kind of look at that and I think of Valerie and I. We met at a dance and we were talking, and I just to make conversation, I says, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, a mommy. Well, we've got 11 kids. We're expecting number 50. I would say that a new world is born. Wow. That's quite a difference. Talk about a ripple effect. And of course, who you marry. That is an even greater effect than Steve Tomacelli. It's fun and awesome and scary and wonderful to just think about. Here we are with this power to do tremendous good out there, to really make a difference. And what's the limit? Isn't this a profound, neat idea? Who shall set a limit to the influence of a human being? Some people have been gone from this world for a long time, but their influence is still measured. A lot of times I'll be out on my bicycle listening to, as an example, Napoleon Hill a little while ago. Well, he's been gone since the 1950s. And here I am listening to his voice, being affected by it across time and space. Here's a wonderful thought. Okay, Charles Schwab, the original Charles Schwab, who worked for Carnegie, first person to have a $1 million a year salary. That's when it was a whole lot of money. But this is something I just love right here. I consider my ability to arouse enthusiasm among the people the greatest asset I possess. Wow. And that's a thing that we can have the power to develop. And he developed it to the state where, Andrew Carnegie paid him $1 million a year because of his ability to arouse enthusiasm. I love this thought right here. He says, I'm anxious to praise, but loath to find fault. If I like anything, I'm hearty in my praise and lavish in my approbation. That's just a really cool thing. Just Uh, wow, nothing kills ambitions as criticism from superiors. We want to be real careful with our kids because they can't help it. The way they're wired, they just accept us as the authorities, the superiors, and you definitely want to be real careful what you say because it gets internalized. And so, boy, say good things. Let's all be like Charles Schwab. Get an ability to arouse enthusiasm. That's such a good word. I've heard that leadership is an enthusiastic communication of your vision. And so often, a lot of the greatest minds and talents, they do this instead. They distribute anxiety because it sells really well. Well, let's get away from that and don't put that in your brain. This is what we do. This is our business. I am in the life-changing business. That's what it's all about. Yeah, we got some products, but what we really do is we let people know about these life-changing products and show them how to share them with other people, and we can change the world. Isn't this neat? And that's where true joy and happiness comes from. Is the greatest joy is to give joy to another human being. How great shall be your joy when you realize that wonderful things are happening. And they're only happening because of your good influence. Isn't that the most wonderful thought right there? That you find something out that was just wonderful that happened, and it might not have happened, but by you being a part of that chain of events. I think one of the most wonderful things is to follow a prompting. And by doing so, you found out that you were the answer to someone else's prayer. Wow. And so here's a great phrase: to be anxiously engaged in a good cause. Okay. I saw this. I actually stole this off of a label of another product, but it's just too good. And it's true. Avini is a health empowerment account. Warning: Avini Health was created for anyone looking to dramatically decrease their discomfort, anxiety, and increase overall well-being. You will experience an extreme boost of energy, improved mental clarity, and the ability to focus like never before. Never use Avini products on an empty spirit. Isn't that a fun thought? Use as directed only if you feel you can handle a high degree of awesomeness. Well, here we are. A lot of us, we've been friends for many years. A lot of us have been following Rick Deitch for years. Here we are with a fresh start on the same mission to let everybody know about these life-changing products. But just kind of think about this thought right here, that we have this obsessive enthusiasm, a magnificent obsession for changing people for the better. And this is evident in everything we do, everything we are, everything we strive to become. We hold a deep sense of responsibility to create a sustainable company that empowers people for success, one that people can trust to be ethical and transparent, to stay true to who we are. Every company decision is based on these guiding principles, that what we say is what we do, doing right is the only option. People and their success are the first priority, and to positively impact every person we come into contact with, and that mutual trust holds our community together. This is who we are. And I just think, wow, here we are. The person who does the most good for the greatest number of people is the most successful. I really believe that. And I look at this as an opportunity to do good, to do much good. And I reflect on just the years and years I've been doing this. And I just think of the great blessing that's been given me to be one more time, to be a person of influence in a vehicle that allows me to multiply so much goodness. 30 something years ago, I was praying for an opportunity and it came my way. And I just thought, wow, I know this is going to be big. In fact, I remember just thinking, I know that I know. I just knew this was going to be huge, and it was a calling, and I just ran with it. I remember at first it was just a rented office, desktop computer, a couple of people. Later on, it became a great, huge office, so impressive that Hollywood would come and use it as a movie set. It was a spectacular. Walking in there, I remember looking on the entrance up there. It said Zig Ziglar, honorary chairman of the board. We had some of the greatest people: Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, Dennis Waitley spoke at one of our conventions. We had conventions of over 10,000 people. Some of our events for entertainment, we had the Bee Gees, the Beach Boys, Ray Charles, Paul Anka, Kenny Rogers. They were right there. We got our pictures taken with them. Some of the events were so big, they had 4 different bands going on each end with different styles. But the big thing was the story, kind of like that friend coming up and saying, "Thank you for saving my life." That was the feeling. But seeing thousands upon thousands of people affecting over those years, millions. Many of the people that became leaders went on and helped other companies start that became billion-dollar companies. I just think, wow. And I got to be a part of that. And then the other thought, though, is Vince Lombardi says it so well, that it's better to create than maintain. And that, of course, is something that actually isn't a part of how the world is made. You don't maintain. You're either growing or you're dying. And I just got tired of slowly dying on a sinking ship. And I am so grateful to have a chance to start over. I tell people that just last May, Avini Health began. Now, we'll hear from, that Neil Roth will say that it just began now, October, with the advent of our convention. But it's just months either way. But I think about, we're just beginning. We really are. We have just a little over 1,000 people as far as a team. I look into the future. I know there's going to be many thousands more. We will be a major player because we've done it before. Think about this. Here we have Neil and Rick, the founders of this company. They've been friends for over 25 years. They've been major players. As an example, Rick was the science officer of Rexall, that family of businesses. Helped develop untold products that were blockbusters. Hundreds of products for many different companies. They've always worked for other people, and other people have always let them down. My experience with big companies, it's always the owner that lets it down. And so here we have this unusual event, inspirational dissatisfaction finally came to the point where Neil, Rick, Doug, they all just came together and just says, I guess if you want it done right, you're going to have to do it yourself. And so here we are, a brand new company, and yet billions of dollars and years of experience, proven in the marketplace, these products, and yet it's new all over again. And wow, I think we ought to go for it and choose to be a big influencer. Don't just go haphazard in this business. Well, maybe I'll talk to somebody and maybe I won't. Success happens when you make a decision and then just exercise the activities every day that make it happen. And that's just reaching out to people. We have an effect on other people. Well, what if we actually purposely think, okay, influence, that's our prime directive. We're going to affect as many people as we can. And we've got a great vehicle to allow us to do that. So come and play with us. We need you. Other people need you. Dennis Williams said it so well that now that you've seen this, thousands of people are going to be affected, either by you saying no and they won't be affected, like that transport ship where he wasn't there, or he was there, and one way their lives were saved, one way they weren't. You've got tremendous power in your hands to make a difference. Choose to make a positive difference. Thanks, everybody.